Welcome to the TNF podcast. Like, comment, share, subscribe, click on that bell for notifications. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music, give us a follow and give us a rating. That would be fantastic. Yeah, just leave comments. It greatly increases our reach within the algorithm. If it's even just an attaboy or it's a fuck you, whatever, it helps, I like that. That's great. All right. So, upcoming shows we've got for you. We're taking a little break. No show next weekend, so enjoy your 4th of July and celebrating with your friends and your family. But we're coming back on the 13th of July at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with Scott Krause from Earth Crisis, Sect, and Path of Resistance. That's going to be a great one. Just added on the 20th of July at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This is going to be a TNF podcast first. We've got Arabelle Raphael. She is an AVN Awards winner and a P-Hub Awards, AVN Awards nominee, P-Hub Awards winner. And if you know, you know. I'm not going to go into extensive detail about that, but that's going to be good. She's a fan of Earth Crisis too, so we're going to get some inside scoop about that. And then on the 27th of July at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Neeraj Kane from The Hope Conspiracy, Suicide File, and Hesitation Wounds. And I have a merchandising company, Hell's Heart Merch Company. Goes on over to hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Use code 20 for 20% off of your entire order. If you like movies, if you like music, we've got really awesome Tri-Blend t-shirts. Use the code 20 for 20% off. Somebody buy something. That'd be great. And also, we got super chats available. So if you want to give a small donation, the production costs on this are a little bit exorbitant, but anything you can give will help. $1, whatever. But yeah, I'd appreciate that. So my next guest today, really awesome dude. I had the pleasure of his wife came on the show, Kelly Leonard, and that was a really great experience. And he plays in the band INVOCATION of Nehek. And I remember this band from back in the day because I always heard their name on like Lamb Goat and whatever. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool sounding name. I've always been curious about the origins of that name. So we'll have to delve deeper into that. But they are going to be playing at Hellpyhra next weekend. So if you're in the area, go ahead and check that out. I think it's going to be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Timmy Leonard.
Hey,
Thanks so much for being here, Timmy.
what's up? How's it going?
It's going, man. Timmy. I bet you haven't heard that one 1,000 times
Never. Yeah.
before. Yeah, man.
What shows?
What's going on with you today, man?
Oh,
yeah,
just chilling,
right.
man. Just chilling. Excited to be on the show. Excited to talk about all
man.
sorts of goofy stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Ready to
excited
party.
too, man. Yeah, LA. Let's do it. Let's do it. And like I said earlier, super chats are open. So if you want to give a small donation and get your question read right away, that would be fantastic. Or if you just want to give a standard donation, that'd be cool too. But we'll be taking questions more towards the end of the show for all you freebies, for all you freeloaders out there. And there's also, I want to bring something up real quick.
Yeah.
90% of the viewers on this channel are not subscribed to the channel. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. It costs you nothing. It's a fucking unsat. So please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. That would be great. It doesn't cost you anything, like I said. So, so Timmy,
hey,
thanks for being here again. And my first question to you is, how did you get into music? What was playing in your household when you were growing up? And did you have friends or family members that played? And then what was your first like non-metal hardcore concert? And then how did that seg into finding hardcore metal punk rock for you?
Okay. So, I grew up in a very musical well, my mother sings and she has musical talent. My father is tone deaf, but very appreciative of a lot of different types of music. So I grew up listening to it. They had records, my uncle owned a recording studio. Like my mother was always singing at different places. She would sing a lot in church, but then she would sing in different like choral groups, stuff like that. She's actually part of what helped me to like learn how to do like harmony and stuff like that. So I did grow up with a fair amount of it. They listen to a lot of more like, so my father's 100% Irish. So, St. Patrick's Day was like off the handle. They would have big parties and like always had musicians. They were always singing. They were always, playing pianos and guitars and stuff like that. My brother's a musician. He's actually a band teacher. So he, teaches music as well. And oh my God, so many comments. This is so distracting. I don't know how you do this, dude, with all the comments. Don't turn them off. It's great. I love all you guys. I love everybody.
Boom. I'm looking.
Yeah. Love them all.
We got Storm's in here. Kelly's in here. Brandon.
The Gossip Girl. We'll get to the Gossip Girl. Don't worry.
The gossip. Are they Gossip Girls?
No, that's just one of those. There's a story behind that. We'll get there.
Okay. All right.
And then the music, basically, I sucked at school. I wanted to play guitar. My family was into more traditional kind of stuff. My first concert, I think I went to like, oh God. I mean, I've been around it my whole life, but like, it was like this Weeby 108, like golden oldies concert thing at like the New Haven Coliseum in like the 80s or something with my mom. It was actually pretty cool. Like, the Mamas and the Papas played and like all this old, all these old, Jefferson Airplane or some shit. Like, it was cool, and I like all different types of music. I listen to like, Lana Del Rey is like one of my favorite artists of the moment. And
he's great.
Everybody makes fun of me. Yeah, she's awesome. And I get trolled, because I'm a sad girl. So, but like the metal and hardcore thing. So like when I was about 13 years old, I was like, I want to play guitar. And like my parents were kind of like, you're going to start listening to Rob Halford and worshiping the devil. And, you're going to throw your life away and stuff like that. So they made a deal with me because I'm so good at school. They were like, all right, if you get honor roll, we'll let you get a bass guitar. And I was like, sick. And I tried really hard and I made honor roll once in high school. It was like freshman year. It was like 8th grade or something. I made honor roll once. It was the only time I made honor roll. I got my bass guitar and I started playing in like grunge bands with my friends. And that's kind of what did it. Like the bridge that you were talking about, how did I get into like hardcore, was when I was like 13 years old, 14 years old. The East Coast used to do, and they're doing it all over the place now, but we used to do weird mixed bills where like you would have like a Hessian band, you'd have like some hardcore band, like my buddy Chuck's bands were always playing these things like, False Hope and Open Hostility and Eyesore and, all these old school bands. So like my stupid grunge band would play and we would like open and there'd be like hardcore bands and then there'd be like weird hippie jam bands and we would all be friends like outside of this. So like, does your crappy, like my band was so crappy, dude, but like my friends would have us like play these shows when we were like 14. And that's where I kind of like started like, oh, this heavy shit's kind of cool, but I still like, the yelling and the screaming and the, throwing guitars around and stuff like that. So the crossover probably happened when I was about 14 or 15. I started, like Overcast was like one of my favorite bands when I was younger. And, just going to like the tune-in was cool for somebody like me because all weekend long they would have like, punk bands and ska bands. And then they would have like, a hardcore matinee on a Sunday and dudes were getting like stabbed outside and it was in New Haven. But like my parents weren't into this stuff, but they were like, yeah, that's where the arts are. So you can go to New Haven. And I'm like, cool, we're going to see live music, and dudes are getting like beat down on the, outside in the snow. It was awesome. I loved it, and like going to the LNG in New London, seeing a lot of like the Victory touring bands that came through, like Snapcase, and everybody loves Earth Crisis. I mean, come on, like I wasn't even straight edge, dude, but like One King Down was like one of my favorite bands, and I'm like ripping butts and just being like, I brand into my skin, like, and I love them. They're awesome. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of it was, how it goes. Once you find something, and it was the 90s, so it's like I would get compilations, and then I'm reading the inside, like learning about other bands, and you get their shit, and that's how you did it. It's liner notes, it's zines. Everyone's handing out flyers and shit. It was very, very physical media back then, and it was a lot harder, but yeah, I mean, it was really cool. And I still listen to everything. Like I like everything. I like that, people think, they call shoegaze or whatever now, because that's just the Deftones. That's just like grunge with like heavy guitars, like I love that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like all about that
Yeah.
shit. So yeah. Oh, my daughter's on. What's up? Hi,
Hey.
Rebecca. Hey, Kelly. Hi, Storm. Hi, Brandon. Hi, everybody.
Oh, hey. Hey, Rebecca. Hey, Quinn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that less technologically advanced era actually kind of made you dig and really find and kind of appreciate bands now,
Totally.
because it's almost like we take what we have for granted, as far as Spotify, as far as YouTube music, like if I want to find some rare band from like the late 90s that only put out a demo or something like that, I could just boom, pull it up right away online. And like you had mentioned, like just really going and kind of delving into the liner notes. I remember I heard about Will Haven through,
Oh yeah, so sick.
I think it was I think it was Training for Utopia. I don't know if you remember that band,
I do,
but
yeah.
they had them in their liner notes, and I was like, I like this band. I'm gonna check out this band as a result. And I just really, really like, I was like, oh shit, this is heavy. This is good. And so, but it really made you kind of appreciate what you found, because you almost had to go on like a quest to find it,
Absolutely.
like it was so great in that regard,
And there was also a lot of like Will Haven I found through actually the Deftones back in the day, like used to play with them because they were like from Sacramento. And like I love the Deftones. Like that first album, I heard it on like Digital Music Express in like 1995 or something, and I was like, this shit's cool. And then I started like learning like, oh well, here's Will Haven, they're sick, and it's like, oh, they play with Quicksand, that's sick, they're sick. And then it's like there's a lot of avenues that it all takes, and it was cool discovering it that way, because I get paralyzed right now with like digital technology. I listen to the same 5 goddamn things over and over because I'm just like, I have no idea. But like when the Amazon Music goes rogue, it's like, oh shit, I remember this, that's cool, like so that's good too. But like I don't know. It's different. It's like when you found something that like only a couple people knew, you felt like super cool. And like now in a good way, it's like the opposite. Like Connecticut's blowing off right now with like so many young bands, and they're all their own biggest hype men. And it's so cool because they just like support each other, and they're all playing all the shows. So it's like, all these different bands, like younger dudes in like 20s and 30s, and there's way more inclusion and diversity with it. Like it's awesome now. Like I love to see it. Like I know there's some old people that are like, oh fuck those kids. Like I love it. I think it's we're done, dude. Like no one gives a shit about our crusty old asses. But these kids doing all, taking pictures. They're doing zines again. They're like they're making production companies. Like we got all different people doing stuff here, and it's like I love it. And so like the internet, even though you can get oversaturated, it's cool for like younger kids because you can see what shit was like back in the day. You can see, like a lot of the this will bridge us into the invocation thing, but like I was playing music with a couple younger dudes, and they were like, yo, these kids found your band. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, they found your band. I was like, all right, what does that mean? And they were just like, they're digging, dude. They're like, they want old shit. They want the obscure stuff. And I think it's cool. I really do enjoy it. So I don't know. I go off on tangents. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I actually kind of wanted to talk a little bit about Deftones because they're definitely one of my favorite bands as well.
Yeah.
And like Deftones has been a band that has been around so long that I can remember different eras in my life with like each Deftones album. Like I remember Around the Fur, I was just some shit ass high school kid that had like, you know, Jinkos and a ball chain necklace or something like that. And then like their later album, what was it, Ohms or something? I was like, living in Los Angeles, like hipster swagged out, you know, like, so it's such a weird progression to see like, you know, each album and their subsequent albums and that whole, you know, discography. Like I can say, oh, I remember where I was at this point in my life. I remember where I was at this point in my life, you know? And so, you know, also with Connecticut hardcore, like talking about how we discovered different bands. I was turned on to Hatebreed by a Christian punk musician. He was like, yeah, man, you should listen to Hatebreed. And I was like, are they a Christian band? Is that something you're allowed to listen to? And he was like, no, they're not Christian at all. And I was like, okay,
not
cool,
at all.
You know, and checked him out and like quickly became one of my favorite bands. And then you know, I'm not real well versed on like the Connecticut hardcore scene. Like I know like Death Threat and Ground Zero and you know, some of the other bands and whatnot, but you know, it has a really extensive history, and it's always interesting to hear about different geographical regions of the country and their whole, you know, their roots and you know, what bands were popular and significant there. And so, yes, Invocation of Nehek, as I had mentioned at the top of the show, remember hearing all about you guys on Lamb Goat whenever Lamb Goat would post their like little news bits. And I'm like, that is a really like interesting name, you know? And so
weird name.
how it is. And I had to look it up because I was like, is Nehek like, have you ever seen Hereditary?
Yes. Yeah.
You know how there's the god in there, Paimon or whatever, that's one of Satan's like lieutenants. I was like, is that where they got that from? And I looked it up. Well, I looked it up and it said something about Warhammer. Is that correct? Does that sound right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna mess this up, and Rob is on here. He can, you know, confirm or deny, but like basically an invocation of Nehek means to like, it's a spell from Warhammer that means to raise an army of the dead and use them, you know, to die bidding and stuff like that. So the early 2000s, people were coming up with really stupid band names. And I think it was a joke they did. Yeah, Nehek Krasinski. That's what Steve's. I think, if I remember correctly, they just talked about this because this is like before I was in the band. So Steve and Rob are in the chat. They are the whole timeline and the whole arc of the band. Those two were in the band. They started without a bass player. I actually met Rob when I was up in college, and my good friend Tom was like in bands with him back in the day and stuff like that, in Nerds. You know, so when I came back home from college, these guys had a band, and I think my buddy Tom hooked me up with Rob, and I joined. But they had done like a demo with a different singer and stuff, like a 5-song demo, and they were starting to write music, and they were really riding the wave at the time of like, there was like metalcore, but then there was like Hamaria and Prayer for Cleansing. I know like Rob and Steve are like, they were very influenced by that, and like, you know, they were influenced by you know, a lot of metal, a lot of hardcore. Steve and I actually grew up together in the same areas since my grunge days. So like I had known Steve and Rob, like I'd met him, and they each, I think at the time it was like kids liked metal and they liked breakdowns, and it's like okay. Um, and I kind of joined the band, and we did like a 3-song demo. I think we did 2 3-song demo. No, the one, I don't know. We did 1 demo, right? Right, guys? Yeah. Um, and like I was more of a hardcore dude. Like I I went to hardcore shows, and like I have, friends with hardcore dudes. Like I wasn't like a metal guy. Like I love metal. Like I
Right.
like shitty metal, like Halloween and like weird, like, like Rhapsody. Like I like weird ass metal. So like
Stradivarius.
yeah, yeah. Like symphonic, movie score bullshit, like dragons, the whole 9 yards. So, like,
Hammerfall.
yeah, yeah, there you go. Um,
There you go.
yeah, so like I was into that stuff, but like I went to hardcore shows. Like I was friends with hardcore kids, and like I was, I was the dude that used to mosh and all that. So like when I joined this like metal band, it was like kind of fun because there was like breakdowns, but like then there was like the really fast speed picking kind of shit, and it was fun. And it kind of like at the time there was like a kind of a scene for it, but like the running joke is Connecticut did not like us, which is hilarious because I love me some Connecticut. So we would play other places, and everybody was into us. And like our home state, we had a lot of fans, but like I think at the time it felt like a lot of people were kind of like whatever. There was like message boards and beef and like all sorts of weird shit. It was kind of funny. Yeah, Kelly's talking about like my old I was in one band, and then I joined another band, I think, with the Twads. Yeah. That's you got to stop doing this, Kelly. I'm so ADD. I'm just going to talk about whatever pops up. So Twads is, you ever watch Saturday Night Live with Celebrity Jeopardy? You remember those
Of
skits? Did you ever
course.
watch it?
Yeah.
Texas with a dollar sign. Yeah. So we named a band Texas with a dollar sign, and it was very like Finch Thursday kind of shit. It was a
Was
lot
that
of
a
fun.
Burt Reynolds one whenever they had
Yeah.
or Sean Connery? Yeah, okay.
Sean Connery. You wagered Texas with a dollar sign. Yeah. So that's actually how I met Kelly. Was I was in this band, and I was like singing, and I was wearing shorts and black socks, and I was the singer for the band. And the first night I met her was at this battle of the band thing. She worked for the radio station, so that's why she brought that up. So cool.
Aw.
Yeah, good times. But yeah, going back to the metal of Nehek. I don't know where the name, like I think those guys, I think it just came from they came up with a couple names. It was like whatever, and then they came up with that, and it was funny, and then like we started picking up. And then it wasn't kind of funny because it's like, how the fuck do you explain this to people every time? Like, what's your band name? You're like, Invocation of fucking. I still do it, dude. I work with a bunch of like blue collar dudes, and they're like, "What are you doing this weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got this band I'm playing like shit with." And they're like, "What's the name?" I'm like, Invocation of Nehek, And it's like you have to explain the whole thing. So like, I think that kind of bit everybody in the ass, even to this day. But they got picked up by Prosthetic Records, and we were able to record, and I left the band. They were able to do some more touring, and then around 2006 I think they threw in the towel. So but it was fun. I mean, it was a lot. It was interesting being in the Northeast is it's interesting because we are oversaturated, and that is a high class problem. Because if back in at least the 90s and shit, like I can imagine, when you live down in the middle of nowhere and there was like maybe one show 4 hours away, you went to it. And like a couple of times we would play these shows, and kids would drive like 2 hours to come see you. And it was kind of mind blowing to me because I grew up here. You got Boston, you got New York, you got Rhode Island. There's like 10 shows a night happening in any direction. Orange County, like Albany, like everywhere. And I think we were spoiled because even in like the late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of that metalcore shit came from Massachusetts with like, Shadows Fall and Unearth and all those other freaking bands. And it was like a hotbed for stuff. But like, it's funny going back now to like all of my younger friends now, a couple of years ago, when they were like, dude, you know, you've been, it was funny to me because like I thought metalcore died, dude. Like I'm, you know, the older I get, the more I'm just like into more like straightforward hardcore stuff. Like I like pile-ons and sing-alongs and like, you know, um, but I like watching everything that people are doing. So like, it was surprising to me that this started picking up. And like, you know, like my friend Brandon a couple of years ago was like, yeah, these kids are like really into your band. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I don't know why, but that's all right. And then, you know, I started mentioning to Rob Sear, our guitar player, I'm like, yo, we should do like a, you know, maybe come out, because like some of these kids seem like they're into it. And it wasn't the right time. And it was a couple of years of convincing, but finally we had some opportunity with like Hellpyhra and Senti from Balmora. He talked us up a lot, which is awesome. We're like really appreciative of that, because you know, those guys started taking off and doing their thing. Like Balmora plays everywhere, and the kids love them, you know. So we're actually playing a show with them August 2nd with Hamartia and Azura and Holder and Hamartia and Balmora. So it's going to be like a nice, like, that's going to be our smaller, like hometown kind of like show. It should be awesome. Yeah. Hamartia is awesome. Hamartia was kind of like, you know, they started a little bit before us, around the same time, but you know, like they were kind of an inspiration to, I know, to some of our members and stuff like that. So like it's really cool to be playing with them. Like I love those guys, and we're just generally excited to be doing this. So should be fun. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of buzz about the show and you guys specifically, you know. And back to what you were saying about kind of the more metal core versus hardcore stuff. Sure. I was the same way. Like I grew up on, you know, Victory Records, Equal Vision Records, you know, things like that. And when North Carolina definitely has a lot of those like Gothenburg, Sweden influenced bands like Prayer for Cleansing, Undying, and you know, Catharsis, stuff like that. And I never particularly was a huge fan of those bands until I actually got a lot older, and I didn't start looking at them as being like metalcore bands. If you listen to Undying's and Whispered Lies of Angels and At History's End, it's punk as shit. Yeah. Like it's super punk, like just the way that they play, you know, like, and I'm like, I almost had like a newfound appreciation for them as a result of that. But I'm with you. I'm more and yes, especially as I grow older, like I love stuff with melody now. Like I love hearing like, you know, Ignite and, you know, just any of the older, like, I mean, I was always into the Rev bands, but I was never like that taken with them. And now it's like my ears hurt so much and I'm such a geriatric that I have to be like, I just want to kind of hear something that's positive and uplifting and I can actually like understand the vocals, you know. But you know, I think that there is definitely kind of a resurgence of that whole sound, like you had mentioned. And, you know, you had mentioned that, you know, Prosthetic Records, that's another huge throwback from back in the day. And I'm not even sure, because that was Ash Avildsen that runs that label. Is it still even like a thing anymore? Does he still run it? Does he still sign new bands or anything?
I don't know who. We worked with something. I never did the business side of that shit. So like we worked with a couple different people there. I don't know who. I think it got Rob would be able to answer all this crap, but like I think they might have gotten bought out again. And at the time they were like, I think like a Metal Blade imprint or something. But when we got signed, they had they had like
an incredible roster.
Like a bunch of stuff. Rob's talking about the Undying was a big influence, and Prayer for Cleansing and Blood Has Been Shed. Yeah, I can't forget.
Oh, blood has been shed. That is a one I don't hear about very much anymore.
Oh yeah, no, they're
Who's
awesome.
it? Noise to Most Tribunal Records. Yeah, that's North Carolina. That's like, yeah.
Yeah. So that's Rob, by the way. He's the guitar player.
Oh, hey Rob.
Yeah,
Hey, what's up? Let's see here. Oh, they just sold to MNRK Music Group.
That's right. That's what it was.
I remember there was a really awesome band on there, the Esoteric. Do you remember that band?
Yeah. No, they were awesome.
Oh, so good. Like one of my old bands, Deathblow, we were from North Carolina. We had the opportunity to play with Esoteric, and we didn't know anything about them. It was Esoteric, Since the Flood, and somebody else. But like, we sat and watched them, and that drummer, I guess, used to play for Today Is the Day, and was just like all over the place. It was fucking incredible. And like, I guess some of them played for the Get Up Kids and some other, some of those other Lawrence, Kansas bands. And then the drummer went on to play in Blacklight Burns with Wes Borland, Limp Bizkit. That was his like, kind of, I think more evolved project. Yeah, it's really good actually. It's unfortunate that some people kind of look down upon Limp Bizkit because I mean they're a little cheesy, but
dude,
like
I'm gonna be honest with you, they the music's the worst, but they're so hilarious that like it's the fact that they've kind of made a resurgence. I'm happy to see it because they know what they are, dude, and they embrace it, and it's hilarious, But like that Wes Borland dude is a sick guitar player. Like
he's way too talented for that band.
Yeah, and it's a joke. That's the funny thing. So it's like, the funny thing is though, you do see that a lot. Like even the Juliana Theory was on that Hellpyhra showcase for a while, and then they had to drop off. But like one of the members of that band was in some trust. The reason why I was on there is because they were in like, if anybody in the chat knows this, please, I'm horrible with the thing, but they were in like Nora or like some really like hardcore band, and then they started like the Juliana Theory. So it's like you see this a lot. You see
they were in Zayo.
That's what it was. Yeah. And
yeah. So Brett was in Zayo, and then he was doing Juliana Theory at the same time as Zayo, and then just kind of broke away. And I remember because Tooth and Nail was also another one that I followed back in the day. I remember they were like, hey, here's Brett's new band that he started, and I was thinking it was going to sound like Zayo. Nothing like
it didn't.
Complete 180,
It's awesome though. I actually like the Juliana Theory stuff. It's pretty good. And again, I was a lot younger. I listen to it now and I'm like, oh, it's kind of, it's emo-y. But
it's all right, yeah.
But you do see that, like even that like James DeWeese guy from like the Get Up Kids, he was in help me out again. Was it Coalesce? Wasn't he in Coalesce?
Get Up Kids, Reggie in the Full Effect. Yeah. I'm sure he played in what was that band? Casket Lottery. Like all those bands kind of had like this incestuous like crossover,
So you see, so it's the beauty of all this, and then going back to how like I came up is like we did a lot of that kind of mixed bill stuff too. So like, we would try to get on like hardcore shows because like we love hardcore, but it didn't like fit. But like we would play all different kind of like mixed bills and stuff, and it's at the time it was a little difficult, and I think now it's more people are like a lot more accepting of it and stuff, and it's a lot more fun, dude. Like I love going to a show when there's like, not everything sounds the same. Like, you can have like slower shit and then faster shit, and like, and it seems like kids listen to music like this. Because even I was in a band with a couple of dudes that were in their 20s, and like we wrote like a fast song, then we wrote like a doom song, and then we wrote like, like a D-beat song, and then, like a hardcore song. And it's like me, I was just like, holy shit, dude, pick a lane. But like, that's how people listen to music now. It's like, you don't listen to like full albums that you look at the artwork and you get that satisfaction of cracking open the cellophane or whatever. Like we get singles, and you get, it's cool that kids are still starting to get into cassette tapes and stuff. Like I think we crave tactical,
I don't get that.
Like, tactile stuff. I think it's more of a tactile thing. Like,
sure.
If the grid goes down, the last 20 years of music, you have nothing to show for it because like it's all digital.
Grid goes down, there's no
Yeah.
power.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Like at least with archival
Right.
media, it was you felt like you owned something, you were a part of something, and
Yeah.
so I'm glad to see that that people are making records again, and the tapes thing. I didn't get the tapes thing, but yeah, like Kelly says, it's something to collect. It's something tangible that you can hold in your hand, not just like a download code or some shit. So
I'd argue that like vinyl is much more fascinating and
oh yeah,
just more, because like you get uh LP and you can, it's like you were mentioning the artwork, and then you
yep,
got that full color insert in there, and you've got colored vinyl. Like
oh
I
yeah,
can't count how many times like a cassette tape just ended up being buried in the floor of a car when I was growing up as a
oh
kid, and it
yeah,
was just like the worst technology ever. Like the tape would just like shoot out, and then you had to fix the tape, and I'm like, why are all these kids like obsessed with cassette
yeah.
tapes? Like VHS
Yeah,
tapes too. Like
yeah,
VHS tapes. There's been this resurgence of like people that collect old school VHS tapes and watch them too. Like I had a buddy who bought a copy of Clue on
yeah.
VHS, and he was like, "You want to watch Clue on VHS?" I was like, "We could rent it from Amazon Prime and watch it in a much higher quality in a
Not the same.
widescreen format." He's like, "No, man." He was like, "It's the nostalgia of it all," and I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
that. I was like, nah, I'm sorry, but I think we did end up watching it on VHS. But yeah, cassette tapes. Yeah.
Well,
But like
there's a Around the Fur cassette tape strung along 95 between Westbrook and Old Saybrook right now that my best friend and I, when we were in, it was like 1997, we were driving to band practice and his car ate the fucking thing. So we were like, yo, what if we drop this out the fucking window on the highway? And we just stretched the tape out for like miles. It was hilarious. So it's somewhere out there is Around the Fur by the Deftones becoming part of the ecosystem. So stupid kid shit. But,
oh
good
god.
times.
Yeah, with Invocation, whenever you joined the band, was there like extensive touring? And I don't know, did the band ever go overseas? Did they go to Europe? Because I feel like Europe would really appreciate that sound. And if not, then
Yeah.
maybe now go do something in
Oh my
Europe.
god. So that's like a bucket list thing that's fading into the rearview mirror because I'm gonna be 46. But like I would love, I've never played Europe. They never played Europe. Um, we did a lot of regional hoofing when I was in the band, and then they did their first, I think, US tour like in 2005 after I left, and then they did like one more tour after that. Um, so when I was in the band, we would just do more like long weekends. We went out, we played out in like Pennsylvania and like, I can't even remember, but like we did more like weekend kind of stuff. So they didn't really hit their stride till after our full length came out and after I was in the band. And Evan, funny story, it's not even a story. It's just your intro there was from, I think when they played CBGB's, and that was Evan playing bass. That wasn't even me, but don't tell anybody because he
Oh
was so
shit.
cool.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's all good. That was totally me. I love his P bass too. So shout out to Evan. But yeah, they went through a couple more bass players and one singer and one drummer after I left. And then I think Rob and Tom were just like, you know what, dude, it's a fucking revolving door. It's time to hang this shit up. I don't know. But yeah, they did end up touring, but nothing international. It was just United States stuff. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it's unfortunate, like you said, a revolving door, because it just gets so hard to maintain
Does.
schedules and personalities. And
Yep.
then at one point, it's like, is this even the same band? We're just doing so much differently, and it's the
Yeah.
band in name only. Like we'd mentioned earlier, Zayo. Like they're
Yep.
almost completely different from where they were when they started out, and then
Oh
there's
yeah.
no original members. So it's
Yeah.
you have to kind of be like, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to kind of be like, do we really want to continue doing this?
I
Is
think
it really worth?
that's kind of where they were. So they actually did a really cool thing. They had their last show in Connecticut in 2006. It was like June, and what Rob and Steve did was they had all the main line. I mean, there was a couple of guys that were like kind of in the band for like 5 minutes and whatever, but they had all the um basically the main characters, if you will, come in and like play their last show. So they, I came in, there's one song on our CD that like I sing like a clean part. So I played that song with, on bass, and then they had like, another bass player do another one, and then they had their other singer do one. The two drummers were, they had two drum sets. It was actually a really cool like way to kind of put that to a close, get some closure for Rob and Steve, who have been on that roller coaster ride the whole time. So it was actually really awesome too. And like, it seemed like a lot of people had a lot of fun, and they thought that was a great way to end it. So until I came along and, started harassing them again, you should probably start playing again, you guys, even though you haven't, some of these dudes. So I'm very proud of them, by the way. Shout out Rob and Steve, if you're watching still, and Tom, our drummer. Steve, the last time he played a show was like 2014. He was in a band called Progress after Invocation. But like Rob and Tom and our singer Rob, I don't think they played music afterwards, but they didn't play shows, and they didn't, so they came a long way, like relearning everything. And it was kind of like riding a bike, which was good. Like I was a little apprehensive going into it, but then by the second practice though, we were fairly solid, like it was, our drummers, he hasn't been playing blast beats at all. So it's like, it's a challenge, but he's already up to speed, and like everybody, they really like, we practice like every week for months now. So like, and we actually went through parts and stuff that we didn't do when we were like in our 20s. Cause like we would like do a set and then just be out in like Tom's driveway fucking around, and, so I'm like really proud of these guys. Like they really, my incessant browbeating aside to like, we got to do something. We got to do something. Like they, they're all, they got lives, and we got, shit going on, and really pulled it together. And I think I'm really proud of like what we're doing. So, and I hope they are too. Who knows? But we'll find
recordings.
Yeah. No recordings. No, we're not. There's no new songs. It's just, we're just, for right now, we just kind of wanted to like, play a couple shows and kind of connect with people that have been, always into us, or like younger kids that have like found us and stuff. We want to kind of like, it's kind of like, just thanking them for, dredging this shit back up from the dead, like it really, really, I think for all of us was like dead. Like, and that's kind of, I think part of the allure is like, I always played music. I kept playing in bands and shit like that. But like this, we never came out of the woodwork. They never did any like reunions or like one more show or whatever. Like this shit was dead. So I think it kind of helps with the mystique and, the magic of it all. That they didn't do anything. So it's fun. We played a little secret show on the sly like 2 weeks ago, just to, they wanted to feel it out to see how, to be ready for this big fest, and it went really well. So, yeah.
Excellent.
That's pretty much.
Well, I mean, I think it. All right, who here in the chat thinks that Invocation of Nehek should do some new songs? Maybe not a full-length album, maybe like 3 songs or something like that. But let's check here.
We're gonna do a good.
All right, just give us some feedback here, chat. What do you think? Did you play in anything post Invocation of Nehek?
Yeah, so like before them, after them, like I was in a band from Connecticut, Jagged Visions, for a while. I played in a in a cover band for like 6 years called the One Night Stands, which was hilarious. Like we would do a 2025 demo. They want it. Yeah, my daughter wants it. Then I was in this band Intercourse from Connecticut for a number of years. We played out a bunch. They're still playing. and then I started a couple other bands up until we played with like Whores and Today Is the Day and stuff. This band oh, Jesus Christ, it was. Why am I having a brain fart? So you got me like using the Rolodex. So like I started a band called Holy Lows around the pandemic. And then after that, oh, Jesus Christ, Other Nerve. This is awesome. So that was like the last band that I was in up till like last year. We played a bunch of shows. Like I said, we opened for like Today Is the Day. We played with that band Whores. They're sick, dude. They're so good.
Yeah, from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've been focusing on this for a while, but I do want to like start another band to open for a bunch of 20-year-old kids because I can't stop. This is what I do and I love it. And the best feeling in the world is playing. I love shows, dude. I hate writing music. I hate recording. I just want to play shows. So that's always been like my family, my friends. It was, so yeah.
It's that half hour, that
Yep.
half hour, 20 minutes, what have you, where you just get up there and there's like this huge release. And then everything that led up to that point, boom, it's just all worth it. And it's almost like you're doing like this really intense drug. And then it's just like, boom, there's the apex of everything, and then you just start to come down. You're like, oh man, I want to play some more.
Dude, it's like I have a very busy, loud brain. A lot of the times it's fun. A lot of the times it's exciting. A lot of the times it's a fucking anchor. And when I'm playing music, I kind of just forget about everything, and it feels good, So it's like it is very much a catharsis. It is very much like a release, like. All the bullshit goes away, everything, you just kind of in the moment. So it's, and yes, Kelly said we did play with Killer Kin, which is you got to look them up. They are fantastic. They're from Connecticut and they are like this just straight up, rock and roll band, akin to Iggy Pop. And I love those guys. They're awesome. So you got to kill for the kin. So
nice. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to check them out.
They're fun, dude. You're going to like them. Yeah.
What's a day in the life for you like?
So like a normal day is I do industrial construction, so I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I drive like an hour to an hour and a half to my job, and then I come home and there's traffic, and I'm a heavy equipment operator and a civil foreman for this job site in Norwalk, Connecticut. So most days I'm just doing that. And then, Kelly and I help her with back end support stuff for the social club, Straight Edge Social Club. If there's any like merch stuff that needs to be made, stuff like that. And that's about it, dude. Like I music usually is, I allow like a day a week to do something with it, whether it's this or something else or like writing. I struggle sometimes to stay awake. So that sucks because I do have some, borderline narcoleptic tendencies. So by the time I get home, it's like, 5:36 and I'm just kind of whipped. So, I'll play some video games or, I try to like write music. Like I've been writing on these crappy old computers I was telling you about earlier, with GarageBand, and, I'm trying to make some like space rock bands or like, really, I've been trying to like rip off Rival Mob with like a couple songs and, just shit like that. But, that's about it, man. Like I really, oh yeah. So they're talking. Okay. So the Baja Blast, I'm going to sidetrack myself, the chat, everybody in the chat. We played this show 2 weeks ago. We were like a unnamed band, whatever, but everybody knew it was just kind of whatever. And I had this giant Baja Blast and I was stoked about Baja Blast because Storm, it's her fault that I never drank that shit and it's delicious. And Taco Bell makes a dirty Baja Blast, which has got like creamer in it. And I had this giant one on stage, and at the end of the show, there was like this sing along part, and someone kicked it over, and it was
Oh
depressing.
no.
Oh yeah, it was just, and it went right in my goddamn pedal, which I got to check later because I got to make sure that thing works. But like, yeah, someone kicked it over, and it was very depressing. So that's the yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Well, she told the story, but um, and then the Supreme Yard Commander thing that sounds very like 1940s, but the they give me all these funny jobs. So like I'm in charge of like the yards on my job site and back end support. So if people need stuff moved, I'm the guy. Like I'm like the guy in prison that could get you anything. So we have these daily reports and everybody's like a foreman, a superintendent, blah, blah, blah. But they put me as like the yard wizard or like the supreme yard commander or like, the leader of the yard forces. Like it's really stupid. So that's where the supreme yard commander comes from. So anyway,
Oh Lord.
sidetracked. So sidetracked.
Well, no, you're good. You're good. Video games. Now, yeah. I had Vraja Kishore, Vic Dakara on this show, and Kelly had said, "Oh, he and I talk about playing Oblivion a lot, and I'm not like well versed in that Oblivion. I guess it's part of the Elder Scrolls series. Yep. Okay, yeah. What is that all about? I'm way off into like." I keep hyping this game, even though it's like over 10 years old at this point, but I've been playing the shit out of Alien Isolation. Like, I love sci-fi and I love horror, and like the fantasy realm to me, I'm just like, think about the kids who sat in the back of the lunchroom and like, it's just, that to me, it's not as accessible to me,
Yeah. So it's, I mean, there is a bit of, that nerd factor to it, but I think what it is like they really did a good job of making a super immersive game where like with my type of neuro spiciness, some days I'll get on there for 6 hours and just like make daggers and just power level making daggers, like, and there's side quests and there's like stupid shit you could do and there's Easter eggs and like they keep getting progressively bigger and bigger. And it's, I think for like a lot of people that play them, you're basically adjacent if you're doing sci-fi shit. I mean, this is just, it's more like nerd lore and like, it's your quintessential, there's good factions and bad factions and there's thieves guilds and there's wizards guilds and mages guilds and fighters guilds where you just beat the shit out of each other, and like there's all the crafting stuff, there's all the alignment modifiers with like, are you a bow guy, are you basically like if you're melee or if you're ranged weapon. And like Kelly and Vic have been talking about this shit forever, dude. Like, I mean, between the internet and then like we went and saw like 108 in like Jersey in like 2006 or something, and they were talking about like Oblivion back then. So like those two have been like talking about this shit forever. And
it's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's just it's one of those things where I think if you're looking to just kind of get lost and turn the volume down, like it's great. If you have kids, it's great. If you're single, it's great. If you're, if you have a stressful job, it's great because you could come home, you pick up where you left off, you can fuck around and literally do nothing for 4 hours, or you can be very productive in 4 hours. And it's just, there was a lot of allure with that. And then the Fallout thing kind of coincides with it because they use similar platforms. So if you're used to playing Fallout, you'll switch over to Elder Scrolls very easy and vice versa. So like, we love mid-century in my house here. Our house is a mid-century house. All of our furniture is from like the fucking 60s. And the Fallout thing was attractive with that, but it has a lot of sci-fi camp to it. A lot of like weird 40s throwback, even though it's futuristic. So like a lot of it is very, it's campy and it's fun. So it's, and then when they came out with that Fallout 76 shit, a lot of people shit on that game, but like it was something that her and I could do together. Like we have a sun porch and then the living room, and like we would be in this 2 different rooms on 2 different Xboxes, just playing, questing together and shit like that. So you could get in a group and play. So it's fun. And like, I mean, I don't know, man. There's a lot of games like driving game. I love driving games, but like they are what they are. And like shooting games can be like, yeah, there's some story like Call of Duties and all that crap and like Modern Warfare,
Yeah.
but like they're very linear. And I think if you don't want something linear, like these games are like they're the best. They're like the benchmark for a lot of, modern open world kind of games. So
And I mean, to speak of open world, I am real into Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I've almost equated it to being like ADD the game, because it's like you've got a main quest, right? You've
yeah.
got a main quest, but then you've got all these other side quests.
Oh
And you
yeah.
could literally be walking to your destination or traveling in one of the Zonite vehicles, and
Yep.
then you see somebody that's being attacked by
Yeah.
an enemy, and you're like, I gotta go save them. And then it's like, oh, you pick up another side quest, and one of my favorite things to do in it was to get the little cooking pots and make up dishes. It was almost
There you
like
go.
ASMR, because it'd be like
Yeah.
it made this noise. It was like, and I'm like, I just loved listening to it. So I'd sit there and just make different dishes, and it was really satisfying because there is so much gameplay that you can get out of it. And
Sure.
like you said, not a linear format, just completely open world. And
Yeah.
I don't even think I'd ever played a game like that. Like I never played World of Warcraft or anything
Sure.
like that,
Yeah.
but I've always been a fan of the Zelda games since the 80s, and
Yeah.
so I had to check it out, and I was like, this was totally, because I think it sold for like, it was either 69 or $79. I was like, totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally
No,
worth it,
I never played those the Zelda. Like I played the old Zelda games, but like I've heard about it, and you're right. Like there'll be a guy, off screen to be like, "Hey, buddy, come here," and you're like, "What the fuck?" So you go over and it's like, "Yeah, I need you to bring this sack of skins over to this guy or something." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think like you said that there is the linear thing is cool, but like I I I just like being able to do whatever I want, like
Sure.
and whether you progress it or not. It's funny you mentioned the ASMR thing because now, Witcher 3 is a badass game, Storm, and I've tried those Kingdom Come games someone else is talking about, and they're pretty good too. Yeah, like um I used to fall asleep with my stupid narcolepsy thing while I was crafting in Skyrim, and when you use the when you when you use the wheel, they have like a the grindstone wheel. It's just like wee, 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 and like Kelly would like hear this shit going for like 4 hours because I would just pass out and it would just be squeaking, and yeah, so like that shit was hilarious. Because again, like or you'll come in the room and I'm like my character's just like spinning around or like just running into a wall because I fall asleep with the controls. Like it's uh all of my kids and everybody have seen that many times. So
Right.
but
And
yeah,
back to like sounds and stuff.
yeah,
Another great thing about those Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the music is very minimalistic. Like
yeah,
it's almost like just peppered in here and there,
sure.
if except when there's like a major event like a battle or something. But when you're just kind of walking across the world, there's just like little flares here and there,
Yep.
which is such a stark contrast from the older games. They had this like rousing score that just
Sure.
like continued the whole time, and like I went back and played some of the older games. I'm like, holy shit, I wish I could turn the fucking music off, even
Yeah,
though the
some of it's
music is
harsh.
awesome.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but
But
you see a lot of like dudes on the internet now that are like covering old video game music. And I saw this like shreddy dude doing like the Contra music. And I was just like, this is
oh
insanity.
wow.
Oh, it was insane, dude. I'll try to find it and send it to you. But, and yes,
There's a
Kelly's,
guy.
oh, go ahead. What's up?
I was gonna say there's a guy who does Final Fantasy covers on like as metal covers, and they're
Oh, yeah.
fucking awesome. Like he nails them. There's actually a guy who plays Legend of Zelda songs on the piano at like weddings, and like he did it at a
That's awesome.
church.
Yeah.
Like he
People
played
had
one of
no
the songs
idea,
at a
right?
church
Yeah.
service. No idea. No idea. Yeah.
Like, this
And
is a
this like
beautiful
guy gave a
song.
sermon.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy gave this like sermon and was like, like
Yeah.
hilarious,
Dude,
hilarious.
but like I love like the atmospheric scores that they do in like Skyrim, and Kelly was joking about like the Bit Brigade, that's the one, Storm, the Bit Brigade. They're the ones that do like all that crazy video game music. But like we'll take like a 4-hour drive and I'll torture my family. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say Mega Man 2 has an incredible score. It really does. I don't know if anybody's ever covered that contemporarily, like, with actual instruments or anything, but they should, because I remember that was a great score. Like, what was the song? It was like, yeah, all that music was great.
Rob actually does lo-fi modulation kind of. You're gonna have to send him the right terms, Rob, but like he's got all like the Moog shit with all the patch chords and the bleeps and the bloops and all that shit. So he actually performs. That's what his noise to most handle is he does a lot of that kind of like bit crushing shit in New London. Mostly he'll do like live. I don't even know anything about this shit, so he'll be able to tell you better, but like, he does all the bleeps and bloops and stuff. So that doesn't surprise me that he likes like the Mega Man shit and like the older like bit crush kind of crap.
Incredible scores.
My thing with the Skyrim music though is like I'll put that shit on while I'm driving with like my family on like a 4-hour modulated synths. There you go. I'll put that shit on when I'm driving with the family, and like there's a couple of songs that are like my favorites, and Ancient Stones on the Skyrim soundtrack is my favorite song. But all the soundscapes and stuff are like fantastic. And then like the way they use it to like, bad guys come and it gets more dramatic and it gets more, like it's common, but it's like, it's really intuitive for games that are like, 15 years old, like it just like the soundscapes and the way that they use it atmospherically to like, enhance your experience is just, I like it. It tickles my little receptors there. So
you got to get a Switch and get Zelda, man. Like I really think based on what you're describing, as far as the kind of games you're into, that you'll really be into it. Like
I'll definitely check it out.
And I'll play for hours sometimes. Like that's how sucked in I get. I'm just like, oh my God, like am I wasting my life, or is this worth it? Is this fun?
It's just, sometimes you need that stuff though. Like sometimes you need to just kind of like, be somewhere else. Like obviously, if you're not, it's not my thing to dictate anybody's life course, but like, I mean, as long as you're being productive too, you can check out, man. There's nothing wrong with it,
Sure, definitely.
But
well, we're taking questions here in the chat if anybody wants to forward a few. Just check here, do a quick perusal.
Sure.
All right, freeloaders, what do you got? I once I was able to monetize the channel, because like the production costs of this are pretty high, but like once I was able to monetize the channel, it's great because like, you can definitely like take small donations here and there, which like I had mentioned, anybody, if you want to give one, that'd be great. Like $1, something like that, so
I wish I was more savvy with it, because I have the kind of, insane, charisma in which to do online shit, but like it's just, I can't, like, it just, I don't know what it is about it, dude. I'm more like in the moment kind of a thing. So like, can you please explain why you don't like the?
Yeah, there was the question.
Jesus. Okay,
I'm gonna read it for hold on, I'm gonna read it out loud. It says, can you please explain why you don't like the band Section 8 and why you are wrong? Why are you wrong, Timmy?
Whoever wrote that must be from the Hudson Valley, Orange County. So this has been a point of contention in the Leonard household for many years, to which I will never win this argument because I'm always wrong. One time I mentioned to Kelly that like, I'm not a big fan of the Misfits. I'm not a big fan of anything where they're singing like Life of Agony, like stuff like that. None of that shit ever did anything for me. You do you. That's cool. They're legendary bands. My one opinion will not, whatever. But one day I mentioned there's this band from Orange County, New York, Section 8 from the 90s. They had really heavy parts, but then they would go into this, Glenn Danzig, broken glass memories kind of shit. And like, dude, I couldn't get into it. But it's whatever, dude. They're heavy. The parts were fucking heavy. The lead singer went on to start a band called fucking Poop, People Offending Other People. Poop. How fucking legendary is that? Awesome. Heavy shit, but just I couldn't get into that singing. And like, Kelly,
you don't like
yeah. I mean,
that's a good ass album.
It's cool, man. Like it's whatever you're into, it just doesn't. Some stuff, I admittedly have a horrible taste in music. Like I will admit, like I loved Katy Perry when she came out and did all of her shit. I love catchy stuff. I love pop music. Dua Lipa is amazing. Whatever. But like, this has been like an argument in our house. And then I found out she doesn't like Glassjaw. So then I would start putting on Glassjaw.
I'm not the biggest fan of Glassjaw.
Yeah. And it's okay. It's different strokes for different folks, but like,
yeah,
it's been a point of contention. So I am wrong. Yes. They are a fantastic band and I am wrong. So yeah.
All right. Let's see here. What else we got? Oh, don't even. We're not even reading that question.
Storm.
Because I can't.
Woodchucker, motherfucker. Storm is in the Cayman Islands, right? By the way. She came on
Cayman Islands.
Yes.
What is she like? Depositing money for like some sort of drug smuggling ring or something? That's usually what people go to the Cayman Islands for.
Vacation.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. I definitely agree with the Misfits thing. Awful band. The best Misfits songs are the ones covered by hardcore band. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all crazy.
I mean,
Misfits are great.
The Twitching Tongues guys did like a Misfits set at Tied Down and everybody was excited for that shit. Except for me.
Did you ever hear the Brothers Keeper 5 Hits from Hell where it was all Misfits covers?
No, probably not. I probably would have been like, yeah.
That's what they did at Hellfest. They didn't even play original shit. They just played all Misfits covers.
Yeah. I mean,
it's weird.
It's again, these are legendary bands, not my thing, but what is the best hardcore band out today? Ooh, oh boy. We have there's opinions on that. I love Drain. I think they're awesome. I think one of my favorite hardcore bands at the moment is Haywire. They are killing it. Those dudes are just touring nonstop. And I don't know how Austin's jumping off fucking houses into mosh pits. And
saw that.
Yeah, that dude's fucking insane. They put on a great show and it's like super fun. Mind Force is awesome. I mean, that's some Hudson Valley shit and they're ridiculous and they're fantastic. There's a bunch of younger bands coming out of Connecticut style, that I love too, So there's a lot of good bands. I can't pick a best, Kelly. I'm sorry. The Hudson Valley. She loves the Hudson Valley. It's hard to pick one best one, but like there's a lot of awesome bands out now. So
here, West Coast or East Coast?
That's a dumb question. Come on.
West Coast East is Coast, the best
baby.
coast.
Yeah, East Coast, baby. Come on.
I
said anything else, I hope people,
Well, I'm from the East Coast. Yeah. I'm from the East Coast, and I don't know. I haven't really traveled extensively, but I mean, West Coast, best weather. If you're vegan, best vegan restaurants. Yeah. If you like the Pacific Ocean versus the muddy, disgusting, gross Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, it's beautiful. I loved it out there.
I've been out to LA.
If it weren't so goddamn expensive, I'd go back.
Yeah. Oh, for hardcore bands. Again, I'm heavily fucking biased with that. So there was.
Well, I'm I'm going to go ahead and say East Coast for hardcore bands. There's not a lot of West Coast hardcore bands that I ever got into. Sans maybe Strife and oh God, I'm trying to think of I mean Throwdown's pretty good.
Yeah, CTMC.
Who was that other band?
Yeah.
What else we got?
I mean, again, I'm heavily biased with that. Just being from the Northeast. Yes, Brandon's got it right. There's nothing better than the Northeast. Literally fighting each other over the same bands back in the day. And now everybody gets along, which is cool. Philly's blowing up right now. It's awesome. Like Boston's awesome. I have a hot take, even with the Connecticut flag behind me, that Rhode Island, they're throwing a lot of good shows in Rhode Island, and they're throwing a lot of good shows in Mass. There's a bunch of young kids now on opposite sides of Connecticut that are just churning out shows, which is badass. But like Jersey's the king right now. Like Jersey's fucking popping off. There's a ton of good bands. They got great venues down there, and they're putting on awesome shows. But it's the place to be, man. I don't know. Like it's everywhere seems so weird to me because I'm so used to being up here and everything that we do up here. So when I see how it's done in other places, it's awesome. But like, I'm heavily biased to the Northeast, unfortunately.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Totally Storm says, what's your favorite piece of construction equipment?
So that I run or that I just have seen. So my favorite piece of equipment to run is a Volvo L110 front end loader. I could run that thing with my eyes closed down the highway. I've been on a highway with it doing 25 miles an hour while everybody's blasting around me. Oh yeah, I've done some stupid shit. Oh yeah, it's good times. That is my favorite piece of equipment to run and to use, hands down. I definitely got a key for that. You know, that's the funny joke. Here's a fun. You want a little tidbit? You want a little fun tidbit?
Maybe a tidbit.
Yeah. So every piece of construction equipment you see out there, they all have the same goddamn key to start them. So like if you have a cat key, you can start any cat piece of equipment as long as the battery disconnect isn't locked out. Now, most stupid construction workers are too lazy to lock the battery out. So if you ever needed like a fucking giant loader or an excavator or something, chances are the battery's not locked. You just unlock the battery, put your key in, and you could drive away and you can live all of your killdozer fantasies or whatever. Now that's horrible, but
we're not encouraging that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Sorry. No, this is horrible. So this is why I talk too much. But like the funny joke is that we'll drive by construction sites and I always tell my family that like I have a key for that. You know, I got a key for that. You know, there's an excavator, there's a skid steer, there's a whatever. I'm like, I got a key for that. You know, so my favorite weird piece of equipment that I ever ran was something called the Bidwell, which is what makes road decks smooth. It goes back and forth and it smooths concrete. And I got to sit up on that for the Q bridge. So that was fun. So, yeah, that's my construction equipment. Oh shit.
Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. And why is that even a question? Why is that even a question? No, so it's not.
I mean, I will. Okay. So the problem with Lord of the Rings movies is they're too fucking long. And
yes,
I tend to fall asleep. Like I was saying, obviously the original Star Wars movies were awesome. So like I would have to go with that. I like the Lord of the Rings movies for like their lore and stuff like that. But like, I think hobbits are goddamn hilarious. But yeah, I'd have to say the Star Wars shit. Like I wasn't impressed with like the first three, you know, when they did that, but like, you know, Disney did a decent job when they bought them out and made some of that shit, but generally I'm over all of it. So it's kind
of, there's only one return and it's of the Jedi. All right. If you know that reference, you know.
Yeah.
I actually got into an internet argument with somebody the other day about Lord of the Rings because I always say the films are overrated. And when I mean overrated, I don't mean bad. I just mean that I've watched them once or twice and I'm like, those were pretty good. But there's like this like obsessive fandom over it that I just don't buy into, you know? And that's like,
Yeah.
that's fine. People can like what they like. People can have interests, and I'm not always going to share those interests.
Yeah.
My assertion, though, is I agree with you. I think the Lord of the Rings movies are too goddamn long. And the biggest offense is in Return of the King, when you think they're gonna end the movie. You're like, oh, the movie's over, and then it picks back up again, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, you know. And it's like
Yeah.
they just keep doing that over and over and over. I'm like, end the fucking movie. Like, let's
So
go, you know.
the funny thing about it though is this: if you look at somebody who is in their 40s, grew up in the 80s, it's your sci-fi versus your medieval thing all over again, because
Right.
like those Hobbit cartoons, those weird ass Hobbit cartoons, I never watched any of that shit. Kelly watched those as a kid. So like Kelly was
Ralph
like,
Bakshi ones.
yeah, like the weird
Yeah.
tripped out, like, peyote smoking, fucking weird hat wearing, like, big feet having shit. Like I never watched any of that stuff. There's a lot of stuff, dude. I never watched The Labyrinth in the 80s when I was a kid. Like that was never a
Don't
thing.
like Labyrinth.
Yeah. I love The
Yeah.
Labyrinth.
It was.
I love that shit.
Oh, you did.
Oh yeah, dude, it's so good. David
Okay.
Bowie's cod piece, fantastic. Like his hair is fantastic. He juggles the balls, like fantastic movie. But like we started showing that to the kids when they were little, and Kelly's like, "You ever watch The Labyrinth?" I'm like, "No, what the fuck is that?" And she's like, "What?" And ever since then, it's good. I saw my baby, like trying hard. Yeah, it's good stuff. But
Willow.
like,
I did love Willow as a kid.
yeah, Willow was badass too. That was
Willow
another
was
like,
awesome.
yeah. So I think like part of it is, were you a sci-fi person back in the day, or were you into like more of the swashbuckling shit? So,
Well, Star Wars is basically fantasy.
yeah,
Like it is a fantasy story in the template of a sci-fi, like the trappings and all
sure.
the costumes of a sci-fi universe, you know. But like you said, Star Wars in and out. It's in and
Yeah.
out. Like, and I feel like Lord of the Rings just almost ultimately overstays its welcome. Now, between Star Trek and Star Wars,
Oh,
Star
geez.
Trek
Yeah.
Star Trek now sucks. I don't even consider it like canon, any of this new stuff. I think they need to put Alex Kurtzman on SETI Alpha 5 and exile him there for his entire life. But old Star Trek, the movies,
Oh yeah.
TOS,
Yeah.
TNG, Deep
Yeah.
Space Nine is my favorite. The
Yeah.
writing and the characters and just the themes and the layers are just so strong.
Yeah.
And as I when I was younger, I loved Star Wars, but as I got older, I really grew to appreciate Star Trek more, just
Yeah.
because, like I mentioned, thematically, the things that you deal with, like specifically Wrath of Khan, like getting old. Like
Yeah.
I'm like everything that Kirk is dealing with, where he's just like he's almost like a has been, you
I'm
know. He's
getting
like,
too old for this shit.
like
Yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to kind of like recapture his glory days and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like now it's like I'm 42. I'm like, fuck, I remember my 20s. Those were pretty fun. And even my 30s to a certain degree, you know. And it's just like living life with regret, you know.
Well,
Like
I
I
also
wish
think
I'd done things this way. I wish
yeah.
I'd done them that way, you know.
Well, you can't live like that. I've learned that. Like all I think about is the past or how quick the future's coming, and I have to learn to be more present and stuff. But like, I think
Yeah.
part of it, first of all, Gene Roddenberry was a very visionary person. Like the shit that he came up with in the fucking 60s that we're using now, like, fucking cell phones and, taking your temperature with that little fucking thing on your forehead. Like that shit was in Star Trek, like
Yep.
in the 60s. But I think a lot of it is I've lost interest in all that shit, and I don't watch movies because like I hate CGI. Like I'm one of them. You were forced to use your brain, but you also they were so creative with the way that they did stuff, whether it was hand painted sets or depth of field perspective or, like props or anything else. Like all these movies, they used very innovative ways at the time in order to paint a mental picture for you. And I think I can't stand any fucking Marvel movies. I can't stand it. The first Hulk movie that came out like in the 90s or whatever, when that motherfucker was like 20 feet big, and then he's like, only 8 feet big because they made it with a computer. I was like, yo, I'm tapping out. I'm done with this shit forever. Like, Marvel movies, I know that they got great stories. I know that they're like huge. This is my stupid opinion that doesn't matter. I can't watch that shit. And the same with like the stupid Star Wars movies. We went, they re-released one of them when I was in high school. We skipped school and they added some like CGI shit. And it's just like, this is stupid. Like, what are you doing? Like, why mess with it? Like they put so much work into the original things that like that was creative and innovative that like I think like special effects have their place, but like you're watching shit nowadays that's like doesn't even have fucking humans in it. Like you're literally just watching like really well done, like computers are making this shit, and there's
look at that Snow White movie.
Yeah, dude, it's all glazed over with that like fucking filtered crap, and it's just like I don't want to watch this shit. Like with Star Wars or something, that first scene where that big stupid ship comes in and it's like fucking 8 miles long and the Spaceballs made a joke of it. It's like, wow, it's massive in scope. It was a goddamn plastic model. Like they fucking made a model and they slowly,
but it looks real.
And they slowly trolleyed back a camera, and it's like, that's creative shit. Not that using fucking computers isn't, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but like,
no, you're good. But I'm with you in that, like, which, by the way, you mentioned Spaceballs. They're coming out with Spaceballs too.
Yeah,
the sites for more money. Yeah, that should be interesting. But with practical, with practical effects, I'm with you. I don't know if you probably didn't see the Thing prequel. I haven't seen it either. It's the Thing, and I hate this. I hate when Hollywood does this, and they just did it with one of my favorite movies. They're like The Naked Gun, right?
That's the new one,
but it's not. But it's not a remake.
Yeah,
it's a sequel, but they call it the same title as the original. Why the fuck they do that? I don't understand. I have no idea. But they did that with The Thing. They had the 1982 one, and then they had the one from 2011, and they called it The Thing. Well, they had all these crazy, innovative practical effects artists that worked on that. And then all of a sudden at the 11th hour, the producers were like, this seems kind of throwbacky. This seems like, I don't think this is going to work. They replaced all the practical effects with CGI, like shit CGI, and it looks terrible. And the team, the production team, like the special effects team was so fucking pissed off about that. Because imagine you put so much man hours and labor and you make something, and like we had talked about with the records and the tapes, it's tangible. You can feel it. You see it. It's like right in front of you. And then for some fuck off like Hollywood executive to come in and just be like, essentially.
And it's also like your brain when you watch like an older movie, like you watch like Die Hard or something, like they're doing stunts, they're doing all this stuff where they have assistants with like cables and shit every once in a while you could be like, oh man, that looks fake, but like for the most part it's real shit. Your brain can comprehend this stuff. Like every time I see AI or like super processed shit or like computer generated stuff, like it just in my head, all I'm thinking about is how fucking fake it looks. It looks too real, or it looks too crisp, or too 10K, or whatever. And it's like, dude, like get analog. Use the darkness of like analog tape to like scare the shit out of you. That's why I like all the Evil Dead shit and all that, like all the Bruce Campbell stuff. Like they did all sorts of crazy stuff, and it was like all practical effects. And
that is where I will argue that VHS really does have an advantage with horror movies. There's a real like it just made them look gritty and grainy, and horror movies were really effective when used with that format.
Dude,
and
even black and white old movies, like it's with that genre, like you don't want to see everything, or you don't want too much detail because you're fucking scared, like
what we were saying, about the practical versus CGI, a buddy of mine got me to watch the new Godzilla versus Kong or whatever. And I
Yeah.
was just so like checked out of it. I was like, fuck this shit. Give me the guys in the rubber suits. I was like, fuck this. I was like, I just couldn't deal with it, you know, because it was,
Yeah.
like you said, it just seemed too real. It was too perfect. It was just
Yeah.
too glossy, too good looking. And I would watch those guys in rubber suits like fucking
Sure.
fight
Yeah.
all day over that shit. It just
You
has more charm. It's just got more like charisma to me. Like, and I know that that people that were, you know, doing it were like, okay, we have to design this suit. Okay,
Yeah.
we have to hire these stunt performers, and they filmed it on actual film. Whereas with this Godzilla versus Kong now, it's like this, you know, some computer animators just sitting here, just like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good. Like it looks really good, but there's just like this je ne sais quoi where it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't like this. You know, like I just
you can
don't,
tell.
you know?
Yeah, you can, and maybe some people are more receptive to it. I just like, you can have a good story, but like if I don't want to fucking watch it, dude, like I make my mind up and it sucks because like it's ruined a lot of things because I just can't suck it up and be like, Avengers is awesome. It's like it looks fucking weird to me. There's some good stuff going on in the chat here that I can explain too.
Yeah. Let's see here. I can't see with my cool glasses all the time.
That's all good.
Storm says the Thing prequel was good. Nah, you're cut off. Let's see here. What else do we got? It's time for
the hostage heart there. So somebody was asking.
Wait, it's time for Gossip Girl talk. How far are you, Timmy? I was convinced I needed to watch it after leaving Tied Down. I'm now almost finished season 3. What do you got?
I'm in season 3 right now. So it's I'm like, I think there's like 6 seasons. I don't watch shows frequently, so I don't churn through them, but like that show is just ridiculous. It's a I don't know why I watch it. It's good though. It's about all these like Upper East Side, like, you know, trust fund brats. And like, there's somebody that like spills all their secrets and it's the Gossip Girl, and, you know, hilarity ensues. So I'm not going to say anything about it, Kelly. Yeah. Cause I got the Tied Down story that they were talking about was basically somebody, one of my friends was like, isn't it crazy that blank is the Gossip Girl? And I was like, I didn't fucking know that. So it ruined it for me. And I'm not like a spoiler guy. I don't give a shit, but like, it's literally the whole premise of the show. So,
did anybody ever watch that show, New Girl?
That's one of my favorite shows. That's one
really?
of my
I was on that show.
What?
Yeah, I was on that show when I was in LA, and I never saw any of it. Yeah.
What?
I don't know anything.
Like a background in the background?
Yeah, just nothing fancy. Yeah, just background. But everybody's like, "Oh, you did the show? Like, did you ever watch the show?" And I was like, "No, it's just background." Like,
I've watched that shit like 15 times, all seasons, all the way through. Like, I love that.
Background work is so unglorious because I could tell people, "Oh yeah, I worked on that show." "Oh, who were you in the show?" "Oh, bar patron number 2 or something." You know, it's like nothing thrilling about it. But you know, people are like, "Oh yeah, I watched that show." And I'm like, I've never seen it. But I'll tell you, one I did watch was you mentioned earlier, Gilmore Girls.
Oh yeah.
That would Lorelai Gilmore. Oh,
yo, that takes place in a fictional.
Oh my god,
in Connecticut too. That takes place in Connecticut.
Oh really?
Yeah. There's
no way.
There's no fucking fictional part, but they've like narrowed it down to like, you know, maybe 5 towns of Connecticut. So it's
okay.
It's not a specific town in Connecticut, but I've done a lot of extensive research on this, and it's probably the southeast. I think it was like what they say? It was like the western side of the state or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Pol Pot says, hold on, let me pull it up. He says, all right. Metalcore fans are nerds, man. Don't get. Oh, I'm not mad. I'm a nerd, dude. I'm just a different kind of nerd.
Yeah.
Like, I like
over opinionated nerds. What? No, we don't exist.
No way. Yeah. Let's see. Storm is laughing up a storm in here.
Yes.
I don't know about what.
That was amazing.
What else we
I hope
got?
you're doing well in the Caymans. Nice sunny weather.
Oh man, I'd love to be in the
Yeah.
Caymans. Let's see here. Re-recording from VHS to VHS made even better. Oh,
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Yes. You get that
That's too
quality
much.
loss. It works.
Yeah.
So Rainbow
Um,
Premium in here has a question about. So they wrote, "Yeah, AI sucks. How sick was the hostage heart though?" When I saw Ion, this guy wasn't playing with them. It was the hostage heart singer. So what happened there was after I left the band went on tour with the Hostage Heart, which is they were like a Massachusetts band. They were very awesome. Love those guys. They were super sick. And Chris was the lead singer of the Hostage Heart. He what had happened was my replacement in the band basically quit to join another bigger band that was doing more or something and fucking left these guys stranded in the middle of a tour. So Chris ended up filling in on bass. So wherever you live, which is probably southern East Coast ish, or maybe I don't know where they went with them, but like, yeah, he had to fill in for a number of shows. So they probably saw this guy was long out of the picture. And then there was another guy, and then he quit. And then the singer mid tour took over on bass. So, and they were awesome though. Hostage Heart was fantastic. And I steal one of their bits.
what else have you been listening to as far as like newer bands? Like you mentioned Drain. I heard Drain the other day and I was like, because I'd never heard them
Awesome.
before, but I kept hearing their name coming up and I was
Yeah.
like, holy fucking shit, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else have you been listening to as far as newer stuff? Turnstile? You like Turnstile?
So Turnstile is I think it's awesome what they got going on. I'm tired of the argument over of like whether or not they're a hardcore band or not, blah blah blah. I didn't know much about them to begin with. I know that it's like they were a hardcore band and now they're a hardcore band that plays like dream pop shit and Taco Bell commercials or whatever. But the funny thing, yeah, they got the bleeps and the bloops. But the funny thing is I went back and listened to Turnstile and they did a lot of the weird shit that they do now back in the day. And so they didn't change format and they got super fucking huge. So you know what?
Yeah.
Get paid. Do it. They're awesome. You know, like not my thing necessarily, like, but I'm stoked for them. Just like same with like Knocked Loose. Like I'm not too into that band musically, but like, you know what, dude, if you can get on like Jimmy Fallon's fucking show and like scream and do fucking breakdowns and shit, like that's awesome. Like I'm all for it. So
you know, there was actually a bunch of complaints about that. They were like parents that were like writing in being like, I can't believe this was on it was Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Jimmy Kimmel. They were like, I can't believe that this is going on my TV and my children are hearing this. And I'm like, they said the same shit about the Beatles and Elvis and you're just old and you don't get it. That's all it is, you know.
Yeah. Wait till they get a load of Iron Maiden, you know, and fucking NWA or like Public Enemy. Cop Killer? Oh my God. How could they? Yeah.
So yo, did you see that? There was a video of it was Ice-T and he got, because sometimes I watch these body cam videos and like Ice-T got pulled over by the police and I was like, you know, this police officer is not going to be lenient with him. The guy had a song called Cop Killer back in the 90s and I'm pretty sure they still remember that, but he was actually going to get his car insured or something, so it wasn't anything crazy, you know, which is funny because I didn't know that he sold insurance and didn't have his car insured, like did commercials for auto insurance companies or something like that.
You know, it is what it is. I mean, there's always a larger narrative to everything creative, and people are gonna hear what they fucking hear. Yo, I was totally rocking out the fucking Prof today too. Sorry, I'm like reading it in live time. This ADD shit's horrible, but Turnstile is cool. You know, some that Brandon was writing about, like, you know, they came from Trapped Under Ice and Mindset. Mindset's a fucking badass band. Yeah, like I said, I'm tired of the fucking argument because like they put on a good show. They played it like tied down and it was hilarious because there was a bunch of like normies that came in because they were like, yeah, Turnstile. So they came like late in the day and just got fucking annihilated by hardcore kids. And like, as much as I don't like seeing people get hurt, they were like dragging people out of this fucking venue, like unconscious and shit. And I was just like dying laughing. I'm like, oh, there you go. You know, you got, if you don't want to get hit, get out of the pit, you know. But it's cool, dude. Like I you know, people fucking go off for him, and I'm all about it. So, but yo, Prof is the man. He's a fucking rapper, and this dude gets down. And I was blasting that shit earlier today. Yeah, you should definitely check him out. He's awesome.
Prof.
So, yeah,
I'll tell you a genre that I've really gotten into is funk. Have you heard funk?
Funk. My
Phonk.
daughter loves funk. My daughter Gwen
so good.
loves the funk. Oh yeah,
so good. Yeah, I was blasting it like.
Yep.
Oh, that's exactly what it is. It's like trap music with like electronic beats and typically like darker sounding stuff. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, it almost would be good video gaming music.
A lot of it. I mean, like a lot of it is
throw that on the background.
Shit. Yeah. Gwen Leonard loves funk. Gwen Leonard loves funk. So,
oh yeah,
she loves that shit. But whatever. I don't know anything much about it, but it's fun. You know, it seems like it's fun.
Yeah. It's just it's interesting. You don't think that you'll ever appreciate anything new when you get older. Like I'm almost at a get off my lawn stage in my life, you know, and I heard it and I was like, holy shit. I was like, is this what the kids are listening to now? You know, like, and I was super into it.
I mean, there's a lot of fun shit. Like I like techno. I like, you know, trance shit. Like I listen to everything, dude. That's the problem. Is like, I listen to everything because if I like what I hear, I'll listen to it. So a lot of that kind of stuff is pretty cool too. So,
but with ADD, do you find yourself like listening to snippets of it and then just kind of going and doing something else? Cause like, I almost have like this hyper fixation where I get into one thing and then I'm all about that one thing for like months, you know?
So there's two different kinds, man. There's the kind that you have that I want, which is like, I will obsess over this and make it my main goal till it reaches completion. Like, I am so jealous of people that have that. Like, they're usually, everything's organized, everything's neat. You know, they start with one thing, then they go to the next thing, and sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does. But you run your podcast like a fucking tight ship. You know, this, that, and the other thing. I have the fucking chaos. It's just everything exploding out of me. There's no, like, I do hyper focus sometimes, but yo, you should have seen me when we had 500 CD books in my fucking car, dude. Cause it was like, yo, this song. And then I would like take it out. And then I'd be like, oh, I've been thinking about this one. I'd be like searching through the thing. Like, you know, it is chaos. Like, if it's playing in the background, then yeah, it's cool. But like, if I want to listen to shit, dude, I start DJing, and it is only like 30 seconds of every song. It's incredibly fucking frustrating for anybody who's in my personal sphere. But yes, Kelly says it was scary. Yeah, she had to ride with me, you know, when it's so I wish I had the hyper focus type, which I don't. Like, I'll hyper focus on a certain thing, but like, it's not in like a way where it's almost like OCD, where it's got to be like perfection. Yeah, hamburger in one hand, CD book in the other, driving with my knee, you know, ripping a butt, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, just full tilt chaos. So, but I function very well that way. Don't let her fool you. Like, the more stimuli going on, the more I'm like dialed in. So I'm more of like that's the thing. Like, day to day, you asked about my day to day. The minutia sucks, but if there's like chaos or an emergency or like some shit, I'm the guy, dude. Like, a guy died on our job site 2 weeks ago, and yeah. So this dude was out. He was like part of a survey crew, and he went to his car to just chill out. Whatever. We all went our own way. This kid comes running in. He's like, yo, this guy he's non-responsive, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh shit. So I go running over, and this motherfucker was dead, dude. Like, dead. He probably had a massive heart attack when he got in the car. He didn't even have the door closed. Like, his coworkers were like, oh, we thought he was just napping. Cause like, construction has a lot, like, big jobs have a lot of like inspectors and like survey guys and all this shit. So like, there's always dudes just chilling. And So this kid comes up to me and he was like panicking. He didn't know what to do. And like that was like my sweet spot. I like, I took vitals, this and that. I'm like, did anybody fucking call 911? They're like, no, we're trying to call safety. And this, I'm like, call fucking 911. Like, it's the first thing you should do. So like, I checked, I checked his vitals and he was obviously gone. He was, and then like they tried to work on him for like 40 minutes. And it was, when I was trying to help the dude that found him because this kid's like freaking out and then they took him away in the ambulance and they left all their medical shit everywhere. So I cleaned up all that shit, rubber gloves, put it away. Then my boss was like, can you move his car to a parking spot? I'm like, oh, fuck, man. There's like a dead guy in here. So like I get in, his phone's still in there. This is actually fucking funny. I'm sorry. None of this is funny, but like this was funny to me because this is the kind of chaos I have. Yeah, like when John got hurt. I'll talk about that too. We're almost at 2 hours. I can't talk about much more, but like I get in the car. Do you remember the Weather Channel? Like the Weather Channel back in the day? And it would do weather on the 8s and it would have that kind of fucking like instrumental jazz. This guy's phone was in the car. It's a rental car. I turn on the car and I'm like grossed out because I'm sitting where a dead guy was. Like, I'm not around dead. I've been around dead people, but like, I'm not like used to it. So I'm like kind of fucking freaked out. Right. Like, what if he peed in the seat? So I start moving. Then all of a sudden blasting this fucking Weather Channel fucking music starts playing. And I start dying laughing because our friend Mark like makes playlists and he calls it Weather on the 8s and it's all that like kind of shit and this just starts blasting as I'm moving this dead guy's car but like I was good. I'm good doing all this shit, I'm touching him, whatever, making sure he's not,
he was in the car while you were moving the car.
No. This is after. This is
okay.
That was
okay. Ride, I was like,
where you want to go? It doesn't fucking matter because you can't talk. Yeah, but like.
Be like that movie Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez.
Yeah. They find a dead body. Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
But like this was after. But like my point was I deal really well with chaos. And then after I fucking crashed, dude. So like all I could see was this guy's face like overnight. And I didn't sleep well. And it like really bothered me. But like in the moment, I'm good, dude. Like shit's blowing up, fucking World War III, like people are dying. I'm good to go, dude. I'm level headed. I'm dialed in. And then after the fact, I like kind of, then it sets in. But that's when
he just had a heart attack. Like it was just because the way you were leading into it, I thought you were going to say it was like a workplace accident. And he just went out to his car and
he was like 60 something years old. Someone wrote, he was sitting on dude's lap while moving the car. No, he was in his 60s. He was planning on retiring and it wasn't even that hot out. There was about 45 minutes since someone had last seen him. And when this kid came and got me, he just like, he was not alive and stuff. Like they did try to work on him and stuff, but he didn't even get the door closed. That's why the door was open. He got his legs in and must have had a heart attack and was just kind of, so that kind of fucks with you also when you think of mortality and don't waste your time, kids, like you're not guaranteed shit. So but chaos. I don't have your type of OCD ADD. I have the chaos, like everybody come this way, we'll be all right, like kind of shit. So
wow, dude, good man, crazy. Well, one question I like to ask people, I guess you could probably utilize part of the answer that you just gave, is that what is one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
So personally for me, I would say don't be afraid to do the stuff, like when I was younger, I was worried about like what my parents would think, like not like when we were kids, but like even in my 20s and stuff, my parents had kind of a, they influenced a lot of stuff and I was worried about it. And I would say, like I even tell this kid I work with, it's like, you're still young enough to where you can fucking make a mistake, burn it all down and start over. And I would encourage that, like, do the thing while you can do the thing, because now I'm 46 almost, and I got kids and a family and a full-time job, and it's like I still want to do the band thing, and it's like, it's not as likely now and stuff like that. But Brandon, can't wait to see you. But yeah, I just don't ever like justify yourself out of doing things because of X, Y, or Z. I would say just don't ever like hesitate, because you can always fix things or playing off or stuff like that. And that kind of works musically too. It's like, with band stuff, you're supposed to be responsible and have a job and this. And I was like in my 20s, I'm like, what the fuck for? Like I want to play in bands, and like I kind of wish I did it more, than I did. I always had jobs and always worked and always took time off to, play shows and shit. And I kind of wish I just, blew off. So it's like I can't do it now, but I kind of wish I did it back then a little bit more. But I don't regret any of it, but I think it's just, take the leap while you can. And like the dead guy, you never know. Luckily he's 60 something years old. He was looking forward to retirement. That's cool, man. But like, we've all known plenty of people who've died way too young. So,
and you could have your whole life set up. You could be materially situated. You could have a great family life. You could have nice things. You could be able to, have the ability to travel, and something could just end that all in a minute.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be death. It could be financial ruin, or a hurricane hits your fucking house, or something like that. Anything. Like it's nothing is guaranteed. So I'm with you. Just like do it and just go for it. I know people that have started careers like in their 50s and 60s, and are now prospering. Like I'm much like you in the career realm, is where I'll do something and then I'll kind of get bored with it, or I'll lose track, and then I'll just go and do something completely different. It's a little bit different now that I'm older. Like I'm a little bit able to stay more focused and kind of get into like a groove of something. And the way I see it, what I have continued to do in the future is, I'm constantly adding new tools to the arsenal, like learning things, and just to be able to conglomerate it all into one. So it's not like you said, it's not a bad thing to just go and try other things, because you may be able to utilize what you learned in some other area and put it into motion and use it as part of your tool set.
And we're all evolving too. I mean, it's not just like, yes, I'd like to think that I'm the same as I was when I was like 20. Like musically, I go and hang out and fuck, but I'm not. Like, you change, you mature, you fucking whatever, evolve, and that's okay too. Like it's okay to like be like, well, maybe I can't do this, or I shouldn't do that. Or you see it with, people like with substances, some people are like, I'm not 20 anymore. I can't fucking drink 8 beers, like, and that's good. Like, it's good. Personal growth is a wonderful thing. Everybody's got their own path, but like, it's never too late. I've always been a fucking pessimist, which sucks. I'm always the glass is half empty. I'm always, my family, they put up with it, and my friends put up with it, because I'm, I try not to be like a fucking stick in the mud, but like, it is hard sometimes to be like, dude, I'm only 45. I could totally like start touring, and quit my fucking job and just do whatever I want, because you can. We have free will as humans, but it's like, holy fuck, dude, does that make a lot of sense? Probably not.
Right.
So
yeah,
you gotta kind of like bridge the gap, but like you're not too.
So
West Coast
Hellpyhra, this weekend, this coming weekend, what time are you playing?
We are playing at 2:00 on Saturday there's 2 stages. So we're on the north stage. I forget who we're playing after, but like Solus from Connecticut's playing right before us. And then right after us is Hamartia. So it's, a whole lot of Connecticut going on. And then Balmora's playing, and there's a, couple of Connecticut bands invading Jersey. So 2:00 on Saturday. But I'll be there all weekend. We'll be there with the social club booth. We're going to be at the Friday pre-show. We're going to be there all day Saturday. Sunday there's a meetup going on because there was a little bit of a booking snafu, so they had to start a little later on Sunday. So there's a park right nearby, and we're doing like a Hellpyhra hangout, and basically it's for everybody. It's not just like straight edge people or whatever. But we're gonna do some fucking kickball. I think we're gonna have like a big ass kickball tournament. We're getting another root beer keg. Oh yeah, and then there's gonna be like giveaways and shit. Like, we're just trying to make something so that people have something to do before the show because it starts a little later on Sunday. But everybody should definitely come out. There's information all over the internet and stuff, and it's gonna be fun. Like we're just like I'm all about kickball, man. So it's it's gonna be. We got like different yard games and shit like that, and there's gonna be a root beer keg and a dude DJing and stuff. So that's from like 11 to 1 at this place called Memorial Park, and then everybody will mosey on over to the Williams Center there again for the rest of day 3. So should be fun, like I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I wish I could be there, man. And I know it's going to be a really good time. Are you nervous?
No. I get excited about shit. Like I get business mode like 20 minutes before, which is like, I don't know what the fuck to do with myself, but it's not nervous. It's excited. So it's,
okay.
And then we have a show that I was telling you about August 2nd. We're playing at the Space Ballroom in Connecticut with Balmora and Hamartia and Azura and Holder. And that should be a good show. And then we have one more gig, which you're probably going to think this is actually pretty cool. It's we're playing this thing called RPM Fest in Massachusetts. And it's more of like a doom and like heavy metal outdoor camping thing with like fucking wrestling and shit. It's going to be pretty insane. Yeah. Like, that band Ghoul is like the fucking one of the headliners, like Through the Eyes of the Dead, which Rob and Steve toured with. They're one of the headliners. And then
from South Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know where they're from, but they're headlining. And then there's a whole shitload of bands. It's like 3 days long. There's like camping and there's, like I said, wrestling. That shit's crazy. So like, I'm trying to see real quick I don't know who the headliners are, but it's
they're starting to do these like wrestling / hardcore metal shows now. I think that's fucking brilliant. I was like, why has this never been thought of sooner?
It's cool. Yeah, no, I mean, it's basically like a metal / doom metal kind of like fucking Gathering of the Juggalos thing. It seems like to me, I don't know. It just looks like there's like camping. It's free and it's at a fucking gun club in Massachusetts. And there's like vendors and there's going to be like burlesque shows and all this crazy shit. So my guitar player hooked that one up, and it seems like it's going to be a good time. So that's at the end of August. I think like the 29th through the 31st, 29th, 30, 31st of August. And that's pretty much all we have planned as far as Invocation of Nehek goes. And then we will be back with the social club. We'll be back at Furnace Fest this year as well. So we have a pre-show. Kelly's got Edge Fest that's on a Wednesday, the Wednesday before. It's like One King Down and No Cure and like all these sick bands. So her and Alex are working hard putting that together. And then we'll have the booth at the regular Furnace Fest thing. Rob says definitely not free. No, just the camping was free. The tickets for RPM Fest are, you pay money, but the camping is included. So yeah, that's
one thing before we leave. Storm, what the hell is a squishmallow? What is that?
So squishmallows are, you've seen them before. You ever see those big fucking round stuffed animals? They make like Pikachus and shit, and like they're very mushy, and like they make them for like different franchises and stuff like that. Storm loves squishmallows. So if you ride in her car or you stay with her, you get one because she has a billion of them and she brings them with her. So they're emotional support stuffed animals. Basically.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, Timmy, man, I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank everybody for showing up and being awesome and supportive. This has been an awesome episode. Everybody's interacting. I love it. I love to see more of that. Yeah. So if you want to see more of that, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and click on that bell for notifications for upcoming live shows. And come in here and let's party. Let's have a good time. Let's do all that. And Also follow and rate on Spotify or Apple Music. And as I had mentioned earlier, with all the upcoming Invocation of Nehek shows, if you're in the area, please go and support them. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Support the Sisterhood Straight Edge Social Club, and I want to shout all y'all for showing up. I think that's awesome. You all have been great and super amazing and supportive of me and this channel. And as I had mentioned earlier, I have a merchandising company. It's called Hell's Heart Merch Co. Going over to hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Use the code 20 for 20% off your entire order. They're fine Bella Canvas, Next Level, Tri-Blend t-shirts. And if you like movies, if you like hardcore, check one out. They feel like a dream. I think you'll really like them. That was my best DJ Casey Kasem voice right there.
That was really good.
Okay, thank you.
It's got the hell stuff too, so you know all the moms are going to be scared because it's satanic. You know.
Yeah, right. I also wanted to do another impersonation because I've been working on my Robert F. Kennedy impersonation. My children have autism because I injected them with maple syrup.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll take it. Sounds good.
I bet. Yeah. So yeah, everybody, thank you for showing up. And like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, click on the bell, follow and rate on Spotify. Namaste. God bless. Be good. Thanks, Timmy.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Hell's Heart, lights again.